Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The single best idea. Out on YouTube podcasts, Apple Podcasts, the rest. Thank you so much for your interest. We're just sort of putting this podcast out there. We'll figure out what to do with it 4th of July weekend. But we're just really thrilled with the day-to-day progress of the show. Yesterday, just to give you a vignette into this, I literally sit down with an iPhone in my chair, and I'm usually in the seat about 6:35. And that varies plus or minus 5 minutes. Paul comes in a little bit later. And I get on YouTube, the actual app where we do YouTube live chat, maybe about 7:10, 7:15. Yesterday, I never got on it. It was so busy, so nuts with all going on with Washington and the tariffs with Mexico and Canada that one day I just didn't even use YouTube. And we really thank you for your commitment to YouTube. The statistics, which we see a lot of from Google, thank you, Google, for your support, are just mind-blowing. And we're just grinding it out every day. Today we had great conversation. Major shout out to James Steele, legendary at HSBC. He was mesmerizing on gold, absolutely mesmerizing, and does suggest there's a scarcity out there. He doesn't really pick a price, but he really walked through the demand and the uniqueness of what we see of demand in China and India, given diminished global supply. Jordan Rochester stopped by, saxophone player with Mizuho. He's in foreign exchange. He has a great ability to work with Steve Risciuto on U.S. GDP. Here's Jordan Rochester melding foreign exchange into the work of Steve Risciuto.
I think Steve's framework is the right one. Take a seat back and just think to yourself, let's imagine these tariffs aren't happening. What's the trade? And the trade remains in the Q1 of this year to expect US data to outperform Europeans for less Fed cuts to be priced in for the US. There's about 2 cuts or just a bit shy of that now by year end. We think it's just 1 and done. The window for the Fed to cut rates this year is closing. If they don't cut in March, they won't cut at all, is the sort of view from Steve. And that's got nothing to do with tariffs. That's just because he believes the neutral rate is closer to 4%. So I think just to de-stress from will he or won't he, think what macro trades make sense with or without tariffs.
Jordan Rochester of Mizuho. Krishna Memani stopped by at Oppenheimer, and thank you, Oppenheimer, for your support of the show. At Oppenheimer for years, then Invesco, and then off to Lafayette College of Pennsylvania is their endowment officer. Just a fascinating shift of career. He said he's got a lot of private equity within their endowment, believes in the future and the present of private equity. But we had to speak to him with a good return this year of the future of the Mag 7. Here's Krishna Memani on Apple and Alphabet.
Those are the facts. That is, if you look at the performance of the U.S. equity market over the last 10, 15 years, it has been driven by technology. In fact, U.S. markets have done spectacularly better than international markets, primarily on the back of performance of Mag 7 or some version of Mag 7 at various points. Their profitability is extraordinarily good. Their cash flows are extraordinarily good. They are on a cash flow binge and their valuations are high. So I think the last 2 factors is what you have to kind of consider more from a tactical standpoint. From a long-term perspective, the tech sector is still a very good sector. And if you're going to participate in the market, especially in the U.S., participating in tech sector which can generate outsized returns is something that you absolutely have to do.
Krishna Memani of Lafayette College in Pennsylvania. We need to say thank you again to a great set of conversations today. We barely brought it up, but it was a good conversation with Stephanie Roth about Jobs Day coming up here on Friday. It's interesting that she said there'll be some interesting nuances, some revisions that we should look out for, and that's what we'll focus on in the coming days. We're out on YouTube podcasts. This is Single Best Idea.